How's it going, garden people? Welcome to the Hidden Gardens. Today we're going to do a back garden tour for the end of September for my Zone 7 garden. The floret dahlias planted from seed, all the different varieties in these containers, all seem to be doing fairly well now. They're all just kind of starting to come into bloom. As you can see, the bees are pretty happy about that. And I never ended up moving them, obviously. I did get to fertilizing them a little bit, and I have an idea as to where I'm going to put the dahlias next season. So for now, though, they're just going to do their thing there. And Picture Perfect Nepeta and Early Wonder Camellia japonica doing really well. Pretty pleased about this little area right here. Now, yes, it looks like they're in containers, but they're not. That's really just a protective barrier because, again, this is a dog area. So, a little bit of a protective shield for the plants so that they can do their thing without having an issue. Soft serve false cypress. Really enjoy this tree. It's so soft. It really is. It's true to its name. And it's growing very nicely. It's gotten fairly big, so I'll be looking forward to that kind of growing up and going along and filling in. We've got a Camellia sasanqua. Dawn is the first camellia right there, along with some Blackhawk's grass and intermixed with yardline viburnum, as well as along these ways we've got Persian blue and Cat's Pajama Nepeta, and then in the middle are two Junior Walker Nepetas. The next camellia is also a Camellia japonica spellbound, so it goes Camellia sasanqua Dawn, Camellia japonica spellbound. Then in the middle here we've got Leslie Ann Camellia sasanqua, and then another spellbound, and then another Dawn. And as you can see, a little creature was scurrying underneath this little area, so the stones have been moved up. I'm probably gonna pull the stones up just a little bit and just kind of reshuffle that area back there, but that'll be a winter project. But so far all the plantings are growing nicely. I think the grass would have done a little bit better if the catmint that I did have there previously wasn't eating it throughout the beginning of the season, but it did bounce back, so I'm pretty pleased about that. Over here we have the big foot clear that's growing well as the fluffy arborvita and wine and spirits Weigela, all doing really nicely. The Weigela is a little bit struggling here and there, but I think that it's gonna do okay once it gets just a bit more established. We had quite a bit of drought situation this past summer and past winter, so still trying to acclimate. This Camellia sasanqua Alabama Beauty, however, is doing fantastic. It's budding up. I cannot wait for these blooms to come out. They're so pretty. So I'm pretty excited that that's getting ready to bloom pretty soon here. Moving into the back area, this is a butterfly Japanese maple that I just picked up recently, and I'm super stoked to have this plant. Really, really pretty leaves. There's like a white margin on them. The stems look to be a bit red, so we'll see how this will look in the wintertime. I'm probably going to put it in a pot for a while. We'll see. But really just stoked to have this one. I'm actually thinking about maybe putting it in a pot into the raised bed garden area where I have all the butterfly trellises, but we'll see. We'll see what I decide there. But all sorts of strawberries that need to go into probably the beds. Still debating. I've got a patio peach in that container right there. Lots of potting up that I still need to get done. My Monet Weigela down there. That is going to stay in a container. Apple trees and such that still need to be potted up. Now I did record this video and then I recorded another video for the back about a week later. So this is before we got some rain, and then the other video is after we got some rain, as well as after I was able to clean up the raised bed area a little bit more. This is an acorn squash that was left over from the harvest that I did. I got all those squashes out of there. They were starting to get powdery mildew, so it was definitely time to go. I was able to clean up all of these clematis, all the dead that you're seeing. So in the next video, I'm not sure if I actually went through this part of it, but I did end up cleaning up all that dead area. As you can see, the red grapes, I think it's Catawba. I have to look. I did get a decent grape harvest, actually better than I have in years past. Though getting to them before the birds did is still a bit of a challenge. So for the raised bed garden area, I am considering doing maybe a fully enclosed raised bed garden area, moving the grapes to their own type of containers, raised bed container situation, and kind of redoing this whole little area. But for now, and budget allowances, I think things are going to probably stay the same for the next season or two. I was able to shore up the beds just a little bit with a little bit of extra wood so that at least they weren't completely collapsing. But I did get a whole bunch of tomatoes, as you can see, throughout this season. They're definitely coming to the end of their life cycle. They're starting to show their wear and tear, but definitely did a great harvest of tomatoes throughout the season. And as you can see, I was not able to move these little dahlias, so I'll still have to take care of them throughout the winter and then find them a better spot for next season, which, like I mentioned, I think I have a better place for them. And these celosia plants grown from seed, all fillet varieties in these back beds of zinnias and celosia seeds, absolutely stunning. I cannot stress how much I love these celosia in these back beds, so I'm definitely gonna repeat next year. However, this bed compared to the other bed is way ahead, so it's definitely a lighting situation. I think the tree above is casting more shade on the right bed as opposed to this left bed, so I'm gonna have to rethink and adjust that for next season. In terms of how I want to go about things. Raspberry plants, I did get some yield. I could have done better had I stayed on top of the fertilizing, but I was able to get to more watering this season, so the plants did do a bit better. So more adjustments to be made for next season. And again, I think going forward, when I do some thinking for how I want the raised beds to go, I'll be accounting for these celosia plants that I definitely like repeating in the backyard. Absolutely love those plants, as well as the shade and light conditions. Like if this whole right side of the garden is going to be more shadier, then I want to consider what plants to plant that'll do better, such as lettuces, those type of things in the hot summers. Those type of things I definitely want to consider, as well as when I first built these raised beds, I didn't know that rotating crops was a thing, and I do like rotating the crops because it does give like a better chance to change things up each year, but in terms of thinking of things going forward, I'll keep that in mind when it comes to the design of the beds and such. As you can see, even though the dahlias are in little quart containers, they're still doing really well. I've gotten a couple of blooms, so that's cool. And hopefully next year, when I get a bit of a better placement for those dahlias, I'll get tons of really, really pretty blooms. So pretty impressed with the performance of the dahlias, considering the fact that I haven't even planted them in anything other than the little teeny containers that they're in. So all of the celosia, as you can see, is really tall in that other bed, but in this bed, not as caught up. And the zinnias just kind of started to take off. So as time goes, I'll have to remember that for the winter planning and accounting for things. Tomatoes did do really well this year. You can see the cucumbers did their thing and their time is past. So in the later video, you'll see that I've pulled that plant. I did get a bunch of peppers coming in now. I am also, a lot of them are supposed to be bell peppers, but as it turns out, the whole banana gate pepper thing that happened has definitely struck me. I may try my hand at collecting those cucumber seeds, which is why those were left there, so that they can really seed up, and maybe I'll try to collect some of those seeds this time around. We'll see how that goes. Again, the grapes, I did get more grapes than I had thought I would, but the birds of course beat me to it. And still, even now, getting tomatoes at the end of September. Even as I'm recording this, there's still tomatoes forming up and redding up out in the beds. Strawberries, still getting a little bit of a harvest of those. So again, this whole area does need a whole overhaul. Like all the blueberries that are in these back beds, they did fruit, but the birds definitely got to them before I could get anywhere near them. So, but I did manage to get a few bell peppers, as you can see. And then these plants I planted, once I pulled the garlic, I planted these, and I meant to trellis them. I never did. So they're just kind of sprawling around on the bed there. But they are producing, so that's cool. They're shorter day variety, so the fact that they're producing is a high five. These carrots I started from seed in little containers in the house. And then I planted them out. Now, everybody says, oh, well, that's not, they don't do great. Well, they did fine for me to get them to seed, to get them to transplant. But what I didn't do was thin them out, which I definitely should have done that. If I had thinned them out, I probably would have much bigger carrots right now than I do. But I'm still counting it as a win because I seeded them, I transplanted them, and there's little orange things, so I count that as a win for me. Again, thinning out would have produced a better crop, but lots of things that I've got going on, and I'm the one that does pretty much all the things when it comes to the gardening for both the front, the back, all the situations. Raspberry plants, these are the little ones, the mini blackberry plants. I can't think of the name right now, but those have produced really well. So I've gotten lots of fruit, lots of produce coming out of the back area here. The poor greenhouse is definitely in need of a cleanup. As you can see, the potatoes, I've still yet to harvest those. I did put them in the greenhouse so that the rain coming in wouldn't totally, make it all moist. Again, bunnies galore happen in my garden. So still lots of stuff to take care of and cleanup to do. But things bloomed and did their thing. The lungworts seem to have held their own after their transplant, as well as this Red Emperor one. Yeah, Red Sentinel Japanese maple. I did spend some time at the beginning of the season redoing this whole back area here, as well as this back bed, this little stretch here, and all the plants seem to be doing rather well. They all took to the transplant fairly well. Lots of them are coming back. The catmint is coming back. I didn't get a second flush of bloom, so I'll be looking next season to see if the catmint will actually bloom next season. I did get a few sporadic blooms here and there, but again, the transplant was late. It was definitely not the best time to be transplanting those plants, but they are alive, and the shade situation in this back area is definitely more abundant the later the summer gets. So we'll be looking to see if those plants will actually give us some blooms next year. 2 Sergeant Pepper red twig dogwoods are planted back here, so we'll be looking forward to the winter to see what kind of color that those give us with the backdrop of the emerald green arborvitaes. The one to the left is a bit more established than the one to the right, so hopefully the one to the right will catch up eventually with pruning and such. This rhythmic blue hydrangea is amazing. I love this plant. I believe in the past I've called it blue jangles, but it's not. It's rhythmic blue, because blue jangles is smaller than this. The rhythmic blue gets about 4 feet tall, 4 to 5, and 3 to 4, 4 to 5 feet wide. So I love that plant. It's just so pretty, the color changes that it goes through. This whole area I'm looking to overhaul come this fall or spring, as far as changing things up. And yes, the lawn definitely needs some work, so we're not gonna look down. We're just gonna look at the back to the beds. I may take this plant out. This is a limelight, little lime, not sure, but either way, I may take that out because I don't particularly like that coloring there. I'll move it over to the right here and put something with more coloring. Weeping Alaskan cedar over in the corner of the back garden here, and it's put on quite a bit of growth since I very first planted it. You can go back in the shorts and you'll see when I first kind of planted it, as well as I do try to catch in my shorts like all the blooming things when they're in bloom. But if you go back and look at it, you'll see it was the height about where when I first planted it compared to now. It's getting up there, it's growing. I'm so happy that this tree has taken, and I'm so happy with the choice of this tree in the back corner here. It looks so beautiful with the snow covering it. So again, I'll be looking to kind of rework this whole area, whether I plant these Japanese maples here and move the hydrangeas out a little bit. I'm not quite sure what I want to do there, but I'm looking to maneuver things around. And this tree is just huge and provides quite a bit of a shade situation, and I do have to keep that in mind when I'm planting things as far as roots and how to maneuver around things, because I do want like an evergreen type of backdrop here, because in the winter, all in the back, all of those trees are gone, so the leaves anyways, so you can see houses in the short distance there. And this plant got a little floppy, so we'll see if it stays or if I move it, but we've got an autumn flowering cherry back there that is still yet to be planted. So again, this whole line still needs lots of work and adjustment. Another Quazon cherry in the pot right there that still needs to be placed into the ground. And I am enjoying the hydrangeas all back here. That I've mostly hydrangea macrophyllus back in this back area. Another cherry tree to be planted, plum trees, North Pole arborvitaes. So lots of reworking that I still need to do for this whole back line. And I'm still working on it, still works in progress, including the lawn itself definitely needs some attention. This big tree in the middle provides the shade to where all the emerald green arborvitaes are. And again, more bunnies. So still lots of work to be done in this whole back area. As you can see, I've got all sorts of plants that need to find homes, and some will go into the greenhouse to be overwintered. So Laura petalum, that's coming out. I think I might put a lot of these Laura petalum back here along one of these lines, because this back area definitely is in need for some darker foliaged plants. Backing back up to where the butterfly Japanese maple tree is, and we'll go along and just take a quick look at the fruit trees. Now this part of the video is about a week later, so I will go through the raised bed area again just a little bit to see the changes that I've done. And I'm still trying to work on not only where plants are going, but which areas I want to develop more for beds and such like that. So that's kind of one of the reasons why I do have quite a bit of a plant backstock going on all those tables, is because I do like having, number one, I like shopping for plants because, you know, that's half the fun of gardening, but also having a nice collection of plants to shop from that I know that I like and that I know I want to find places for in my garden. So I'll pot up all of these apple trees and pear trees, and this plum tree I've decided is going to come back here just a little bit more. And I have other trees and plants to place. So again, finding the right balance of evergreens and deciduous trees along this whole back line to really kind of grow up, get tall enough, but at the same time not completely take over the whole back garden, is the challenge that I'm looking at. I really want like an evergreen line, but at the same time a balance, so it's not all just like little soldiers of arborvitaes like I have on the back fence there. I want to try and get a good mix of things going on. So I have some more Bigfoot Clarias that I think are going to do well in this back area. And the hydrangeas, like this one, I may move. Still debating on things as far as having, again, a nice balance of not only color throughout the season, but evergreen interest throughout the winter. But again, I can't say enough about that weeping Alaskan cedar. It's just the placement of that. I'm so pleased with that. Whether I put these Japanese maples underneath it is a different story. They did hold their color fairly well throughout the summer, but now they're starting to turn a little bit on the green side, so I'm not sure if coming the late summer, if it's just a little bit too much shade for them in this area and not getting enough sun. And it also kind of depends on where Japanese maples are concerned, what type of sun they're getting, whether they're getting the morning sun or the afternoon sun. Back here, it's mostly afternoon sun, a small block of afternoon sun that they'll get. So still lots of tweaking and extensions of beds and maybe making new beds that I'm going to be looking into doing for this winter plans and spring planning and to-dos and such. I'll try to include the relevant links to videos in the description down below. Though, again, this rhythmic blue hydrangea is spectacular. So to the right, I'll be looking for something with about the same height and as well as color to put to the right there. Though all these plants that I've planted so far seem to be taking really well. Again, the emerald green arborvitaes is a really, really pretty backdrop to all the plantings that are here. And they're serving specifically because of the light requirements with the tree in front of it. So they do well with the bit of protection that they get. But I'm also hoping that they get big enough, but not too big, so that they're screening the whole back fence line here, because there is a house behind there. And it's definitely like a, hi neighbor when you walk out the door and hang out in the backyard, because their house does overlook over the fence area here. So I'm hoping that the evergreens will give me a nice backdrop and a nice screening even in the winter time. And then this Golden Shadows dogwood that I planted in the middle did take fairly well, so I'll be looking next season to see just how pretty that'll be come when it starts to leaf out, especially with the yellow, and it does get like a little bit of a pinkish tinge. So with that, with the background of the emerald greens, I think will look super spectacular. And all of these evergreen emerald green arborvitaes are growing fairly well. The backs are a little bit sparse where the fence is, but I'm not too worried about that. So everything does seem to be taking fairly well. Hopefully I can get to a good fertilizing come next spring. I'll definitely have to put that on my to-do list to really kind of give this whole area a good fertilizing, because it's been a while. It was all done with compost and stuff, and that's the other thing, is I definitely, more than the fertilizing, want to make sure that I get some good layer of compost going throughout this whole back area, because while I first initially built it up with it was like a garden mix of compost and loam, about this time it's definitely starting to wear in terms of nutrients in the soil. So I want to make sure I've got a good soil mixture composition going on. And I have lots of plants, as you can see, that still not so much need homes, but need homes, but that I want to find good spots for. And I'll be looking to do a video maybe soon about cleaning up the greenhouse. If that's something that you guys are interested in, drop it below in the comments what kind of videos you guys like. I like watching other gardeners when they're doing things in their garden. They're getting tasks done, like cleaning up areas, just general day-to-day stuff. But the YouTube analytics are telling me that you guys really like the garden tours over those things. So drop in the comments what kind of gardening videos do you enjoy watching. And even in containers, the hydrangeas are still blooming, so I'll be looking to pot some of this stuff up. The Russian sage that I moved out front is definitely coming back, so I'm pretty excited about that, because it was definitely on the struggle bus out front. So the fact that it's coming back and looking fairly decent, including this butterfly bush, is definitely a good sign. So I'll be looking to find better homes for that. And that's kind of the part of gardening too, is where things weren't doing well or were struggling, then you got to kind of rehab and then find a better place for them. So then you end up with even more plants to maneuver around, which is, to me, half the fun. I'll be looking to move the raspberries and the strawberries, and again, an overhaul of this whole raised bed area. But the celosia, I mean, come on, it's just stunning. Here you have a clearer view of just how far behind the right side is compared to the left side. The celosia plants are just starting to kind of get a little bit of height on them. The zinnias in the front are doing better than the ones over to the right, where it's even more shaded. But these to the left are huge. I'm 5 foot a few inches, and they're about 2 feet taller than I am. Just absolutely stunning plants, though. I cannot get over how pretty these celosia plants are. And the zinnia plants, some of the coloring in some of these zinnia plants are just amazing. So I may divide them up a little bit differently next year. Maybe I'll just put zinnia plants in this side and celosia on the other side. We'll see. We'll have to do some thinking on that. But the zinnias out back here definitely did way better than the zinnias out front. And I would attribute that to, we have more bunnies out front, so more chance for the bunnies to eat the plants out front than they get out back. It's just a bit more protected back here, though. As you saw, we still do get bunnies back here, and actually they do make their nests. I'll have little baby bunnies in these raised bed areas, so you know, that's kind of gardening. But the bees seem to be happy with the few dahlias that are blooming. And again, these dahlias are in little quart pots, but they're just blooming away. And you can see what a week and we finally got some rain will do to the tomatoes. They're definitely on their last hurrah, as it were. I've got some splitting going on because I wasn't able to get out here and harvest before I did this video. But the cucumber plant is gone, and I did do some cleaning up of some things back here. So definitely, end of the season, harvest time for all of these tomatoes. But I couldn't be more pleased with just how much of a production that I'm able to get out of this teeny little area. When you interweave all the plants together, and as long as you really stay on top of the airflow and keeping things watered and attentive throughout the season, it really can yield a whole bunch of produce in a very, very small place. So now all of the peppers are really kind of starting to come in, especially now that the squash plant is out of the way. The peppers are getting more light. As you can see, the grapes have had their fair share of bird feeding, and the grapes are making their way out. And I'll do more pruning on those come the winter. I think for the winter, I should try to remember to maybe prune them shorter and stay on top of the fertilizing and the watering for next year. And I'll hopefully get bigger grapes. They were all kind of small, but I definitely got quite a bit. So again, learning curves and learning as you go. The more experience you get, grapes are wicked simple, but they're so simple that they can be super complicated. And it's so easy to overcomplicate them because they are fairly simple in themselves. So, and there's so many different ways to grow grapes, and there's the two different kinds. I have both kinds, the Concord type and the wine type. Again, with the carrots, I'm just so pleased with myself that I actually got a few carrots in there. The azaleas that I pulled up at the beginning of the season are doing so much better, whether that's because they're getting a little bit more sun over here, but they were definitely on the struggle bus in the ground. So I'm glad that they're doing better in the pots over here, and I'll be looking to find a better spot for them as well. And the clematis plants I was able to cut back. That was a hard year for the clematis plants. And back here, I was finally able to get all the weeds pulled up, and all of these camellias are doing really well. I've a mix between the yardline viburnums and then 2 pink perfection camellia japonicas, and in the middle is a camellia japonica high fragrance. And I'll be looking for those to put on some flowers at some point throughout the winter months. So these should serve as a pretty nice evergreen screen again throughout the whole property. I'm really, really looking to bulk up a nice evergreen screening throughout the whole property, both back, front, sides, just a nice, evergreen screen, but again, not just one evergreen type plant, such as the arborvitaes. I'm looking to get mixes of the evergreen screenings. So the yardline viburnum seems to work really well in my area, and it does grow fairly well. In here, I have star jasmine that needs some water at the moment, because that one lives in the greenhouse all year round, and that one's a zone 8, and again, I'm a zone 7 garden, so it's just slightly pushing the zones. The fall is really starting to take hold in the garden, and it's one of my favorite times of year. So if you have made it this far with me, I hope you'll consider subscribing, as it does help me out. It helps the channel out. It's free. If you're returning, thank you for coming back. I hope you're enjoying the journey, and I hope that this video inspires you to get out and take a look around your garden and continue along on your gardening journey, whatever that looks like for you. And thank you for coming along on mine.